Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Monday morning edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. I'm Spencer Israel. As always, joined by Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. Got a jam-packed show today. We're going to recap Friday's trading action, discuss as many of this morning's movers as we possibly can. Bit of the Merger Monday theme we got going on today. A couple of deals to discuss in one in the food sector, one in the healthcare sector. Our guest today will be Kenny Polcari. He would join the show at 8:35 from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Kenny Polcari, you see him on CNBC. He's the director of NYSE floor operations for O'Neill Securities and a CNBC contributor. Joel, how's it doing this morning in the S&Ps?
We're trading in the green by 9.5 points, 26.9150. That's just off the all-time high we've made earlier this morning at 92.75. Made a close at 82 even. Everyone was buying. The pre-market chatters were buying all the way to 5 p.m. on Friday. The close at 82. We didn't even see that. Opened 83, 82.50 low. Projected target on the upside is over 2,700 at 27.0250. Crude trading up 30 cents here at 57.63. Still struggling with the $59 area. We hit that on a few different occasions over the last few weeks. Gold continuing 3-day rally here. I guess Bitcoin is not killing gold altogether. Gold stalling though. Little bit of a rally here, getting a little bit tired. And Bitcoin trading at 19,164. That's down 3.77%. S&P future, the CME futures, only 700 contracts have traded. So I don't think I'm getting quotes on the SIBO contract, but it looks like the CME contract is a little bit off to a slow start. Dennis, how you doing at 8:04 this morning?
Doing well. But that CME contract's a lot bigger, isn't it, Joel?
Yeah.
Isn't that contract the 5 Bitcoins per?
Yeah, that's true. So that would be...
So it's a lot bigger than the other one. So that's a consideration because you're on 5 Bitcoins per. So, and it's early here yet, so we'll see what happens with it. But, you got to still be impressed here. Not that much fun. We're talking 5 Bitcoins. So, it's basically $100,000 a contract. So a little bit more. One consideration.
Do you have a good weekend, Dennis? Everybody good? Everybody healthy over there in the house?
Yeah, we're good. I'm a little bit raspy here this morning, so I don't know. I'm fighting something, but that's how this goes. When you got 2 kids, you always end up a little bit sick. So I'm fighting something a little bit. So excuse my raspy voice. You know what? I've been on a run though, man. Because remember, like 2-3 years ago, I got sick like 5 times that one winter season. I have not been sick and really with a bad cold and and this isn't a bad one. It's just a little bit of raspy voice. Probably been a good year and a half. So I don't know. You know what? I stopped taking my flu shot actually the last couple of years, and I feel like I'm feeling better. I always got the flu shot. Now I haven't got the flu in 2 years. I've just jinxed myself here by not taking the flu shot. What are your thoughts?
I don't want. I just don't. I do. We've gone over this. I don't want to buy the dentist puts. So that's terrible, right? But I would buy the dentist getting a cold March calls for sure.
I think I got one by March.
But I just got to tell you one thing that I got to do really fun over the weekend.
What'd you do?
I got to work with Spencer on Sunday. He came over to the house for about 3 hours, and we got
you guys work on Sunday.
Yeah, we work on Sunday. Yeah, no, we had to get stuff ready for this Bitcoin special, Dennis. This is going to be something else. I mean, you got your buddy Joe Saluzzi. We had Peter Sonnenschein from Grayscale, the makers of the GBTC. We have your buddy Peter Schiff coming on. We have Jeff Goldman. Representative for who else we got coming on, Spencer?
We got Chris Nelson from Social Reality, ticker for that company's SRAX, SRAX, and they're one of those high-flying Bitcoin movers or crypto slash Bitcoin slash blockchain stock trades that have been making the rounds the past few weeks. Represent, and they just came out with their own blockchain last week that would talk about.
Very interesting.
We have you mentioned everyone else. I think we got 6 or 7 people on with
Mike
us.
Grubb, who's a private investor. Jeff Goldman, who's going to give us the trader.
Jeff's been on the show lots of times.
Yes.
So it'll go 8 to 9:30 tomorrow. It'll be a bit longer. We're going to have a few different segments, and it'll be fun. So check it out.
I want them to get me talked into buying Bitcoin. But right now I just can't do it. So maybe after this show, maybe they'll talk me into buying it. But we know when I'm buying it's the top. Though.
Show will go to 9:30 tomorrow, Rob Hood, and maybe even beyond, depending on kind of questions we get. But
the Bitcoin show.
Merger Monday. Boy, oh boy, we got some stocks moving off for some takeover news.
We do, Spencer. What do we got here? What's going on?
Well, Hershey is going to acquire Amplify Snack Brands, that's ticker BETR, for $12 a share in cash. HSY for BETR.
Well, BETR, they're only giving a 2-cent discount to risk ARPs here, so this is a done deal, obviously, with only the 2 cents. So not much to talk about there, except if you had it on Friday. You're up 71% here today, so congratulations to whoever was long, but this trade's over now, so no opportunities going forward. Let's talk Hershey. They're the company that's paying the premium. It is trading down. We have seen this as a theme the last couple of years, where the acquirers often do get hit afterwards. Even Disney was down a little bit, then came back. Thoughts on the Hershey chart, HSY, as they put out a little bit of money for better?
Boy, this stock just been in a trading range, boy, ever since. Remember, you had that rumor back in, when was that? Back in June of 2016 that Mondelez was going to buy it. You had that big run up to 117.79. That's been a major resistance area, filled at 116 in May. So you're coming up near the top of the trading range, but if you're shorting, it's still quite a ways away. On the downside, I mean, just above that $100 level, 102 to 104, major support. I wait to see how this one reacts on the open.
Smaller deal. You're not going to see this pull back more than a couple bucks, I wouldn't think. I even think, if it found support at 112, that might be where I'm coming in here, because this isn't a big deal for Hershey, I don't think.
Not at all. And actually, a quad or 2 lows at the 113 area, so we're trading right there right now. So if you're looking to buy this thing at the 2-day low, right there, right in front of you right now. Nice spike up to 115 on Friday, a couple highs over 115 from June.
Give us these other ones, Spence.
We also had from over the weekend Humana teaming up with some PE firms to buy Kindred Healthcare, so HUM-KND.
This stock, I had this one in my portfolio for a long time. I don't anymore. I actually sold it off. This stock, Kindred Healthcare, did some spin-offs, but it's been just a mess. And if you look the last 5 years, down from 25 to 8, and before that, they actually did some reorg and stuff back in 2010. And I think that's actually when I had this quite a few years ago. Man, time flies. It's been 7 years since that spin-off, and I can remember having this in my portfolio for a while, and I actually did okay on it. And, since the spinoff here, it had the big run up from like $11 to like 28. And then, had sold off in 11, 12, 13, came back up to the 25 area in 14. Been selling off. I mean, okay, so here you get bought out by Humana. But, really, when you put it in perspective, most shareholders that own this Kindred Healthcare are still down. So not a big premium being paid here. Stock trading slightly up in the pre-market, only 9%. Humana shrugging it off. They didn't even make a trade yet off of this. So it doesn't look like Humana's going to care. Shareholders, that is.
Maybe our winner of the day here, Longfin, LFIN. They announced the acquisition on Friday, actually, of a blockchain micro lender called Ziddu.com, Ziddu.com, LFIN. Big winner.
That's all it takes. You get into the blockchain and you're gone. But holy cow, this stock only been out there 3 days? Is that right? I only have 3 days of data here. Joel, do you have more data?
Nope.
So this thing came out at $6, and 3 days later it's 40. Somebody did something wrong on that. When they were coming out with I don't know if this got spun off or what it was, but pricing there at $6. Congratulations to whoever bought it the last 2 days. There must have been rumors on Friday that they were going to buy something or do something with blockchain, because it took off from $7 to 26, closed to 22. Now it's up another 77%. That's all you got to do. You're a little company. You just mentioned blockchain and you're doubling. These companies, it's a full-on mania. And if you just, we can look at the Riot stocks and we can look at all those as well. But any company that's mentioning anything to do with blockchain right now they are getting bought hand over fist.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't even know what to say.
I don't know what to say.
The stock goes from $6 to $40. Am I chasing up here? No. Am I shorting it? Hell no, because I've seen what these things can do. 39, this thing could go to like 100. Like they're crazy like that.
I just give you the pre-market high, 44.73. Actually a double top basis, the 15-minute chart just after 6 a.m. this morning. Struggling a little bit here, now over 40. So if I had a big chunk, I'd be out at 40, 40 and a half, 41, 42, 42 and a half. Just
we would have been out a long time.
I would have been out at
chunk, Joel.
10. No.
That's $7. I would have been out on Friday when the thing went from 7 to 14.
Unbelievable move here.
Unbelievable move. These things are just so hot. Anything to do with blockchain, anything you say, eventually that will cool off, and eventually these things will come back down to earth. But it's hard to time that stuff. I mean, we thought, Riot had the riot for 3 or 4 days, and then, it pulled back and consolidated for about a week, and then went blast off into orbit mode again. So, it makes even the first one even look small compared to that second move. We went from 15 up to $33 in 3 days too. I mean, these moves are incredible on these. And here's just a biotech company that just, reorganizes themselves as some type of blockchain company. Like, I don't know. Everybody's just making money just off of just the mania is what it is.
And
so you got to watch, long term on a lot of these companies. A lot of this stuff is sketch. I'll say that. We don't know. Maybe there's some of these companies are really going to be real, and they're really. But I think a lot of these, smaller companies here, they're just off the mania. And when the mania cools, a lot of these stocks are going to come down significantly. But who knows when this mania cools? I mean, Bitcoin is looking like it's going to break out here again.
32 and a quarter. Riot Blockchain is trading up 375 on a hit, 160,000 shares. Your pre-market high on Riot Blockchain is in the 33 handle, just over 33. 33 even. If you're trading this, you're looking for a target on the long side. You got one right there at 33.27. Got up there last time. Caught a cold, only a place to perhaps exit along. I can't recommend shorting these rocket ship stocks.
What about Mara, M-A-R-A? That's just sitting there, and that's another Bitcoin play here, and it's just sitting there looking ready to go here too. And it is getting a little bit of pop this morning, but I don't know. That chart looks consolidation station. Looks like if it could take out those highs back, I guess it's at $7. But what are your thoughts here? Because you look at that Riot chart and boom, 3 days, and then and it came back down, consolidated. Like, I mean, this is kind of doing the same pattern.
I think a little different fundamentals with this one. Isn't there a...
Do any of these companies have any fundamentals?
Well,
analyze these companies from a fundamental perspective?
Didn't they do a secondary?
Oh, yeah, it did. And that held it down.
Yeah.
That was Mara did.
Okay. Yep. So I guess that's the only thing that I'd keep an eye on this one is that secondary price. But from a purely technical perspective and sector perspective, this thing looks ready to go.
What was the other one I was going to mention? Oh, yeah, Overstock, OSTK. And that thing's blasted off, too. So, it took off, climbing. Had a little bit of period where it's coming down. That's when Bitcoin came down a little bit as well. Now Bitcoin's back up at the highs. Overstock back up at the highs here, too. OSTK up another $2 here this morning. It's got a huge short interest there. It looks like it's going to squeeze them here again this morning. I mean, this stock is breaking out here now over 70. I mean, above 70, this thing's in breakout mode again.
Pre-market high in OSTK, 71.95. I don't know what I was watching, but I think I saw a commercial for Overstock.com. And I asked Dana about it, and she said she heard of it. So at least it's not.
Oh, yeah. I've seen commercials for that, too. Overstock's it does other things, too. It's not just a pure Bitcoin play.
Right. But
it's a real company.
And it's not just selling stuff that's overload. They sell other things too, but 71.95, that's your pre-market high. Did we skip over another did we do the other merger?
There's two other ones. One of them, Penn National to acquire Pinnacle Entertainment, so PENN for PNK, excuse me, for 30,
that was rumored.
32.47 a share, 20 in cash, and the rest in stock. And then
the other one?
I'm sorry.
What was the other merger?
Yeah, Campbell's was Campbell's for Snyder's Lance, LNCE, for $50 a share.
All right, that obviously was rumored, or that was a memo was on Thursday, because they got the big pop on Thursday, the big pop on Friday,
official today.
and then the takeover on Monday.
Jeez, look at that. Nice run there. The rumor 47.56, which you hit on Friday. Let's see what the close or what we're doing in the pre-market. 50.01. $50 is the number on that one. So seems like it's going
It's trading right on the kisser.
Those Snyder's Lands, don't they have those Dijon pretzels, Dijon mustard pretzels or something? No,
I don't know.
That's them. They're very good.
One more. Oh, you're not done with that? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was
Another merger? It's like 6.
No, I was going to say that Ruby Tuesdays rejected an acquisition proposal for $2.88, if you care.
From who?
From the Boaz Group, PE, private equity.
Well, that's just been sitting there waiting for that takeover too. $2.38. It's still just sitting there. $2.42 here. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Ruby Tuesday. Never was. I ate at one once and it wasn't that good. So we'll move on from that. Another news here, and it's bad news for CSX. That CEO Spencer, he died.
Yeah, he passed away over the weekend.
That's unbelievable. So they take the medical leave on Friday, and then he died over the weekend. I mean, this guy worked till his last day. Basically, his last 24 hours, and he worked until his last day. Man, that's awful.
The Journal had reported back in May that he was not in the best of health. If you remember, he was appointed CEO back in March. I think it was an activist investor that got him the seat.
They were talking Hunter Harrison. I don't know if we said the name.
Yep, yeah, Hunter Harrison, the CEO of CSX, and an activist got him in charge of the company. But that was in March, and then
wow.
Apparently, as of May, he wasn't in the best of health. Took medical leave. What was it, Thursday or Friday, and then passed away over the weekend.
Wow. So CSX is getting hit on this again. This is why it got hit on Friday, because he took medical leave. He's gone now. So it's obviously really bad here for CSX, because now they don't have a CEO, and this guy was turning everything around, I guess. We're down another $1.50 here this morning. You look at Friday's low, and that was 51.63. I know in the pre-market that day we talked about it on the show at $50 potentially bouncing. It did bounce from 50, and it never even got close to there in the regular session. So I'm still going to say there's lots of support down there in the 48 to 50 area here. They're going to have to do some stuff. I think it was Citi saying maybe they're going to talk a merger possibly with Canadian Pacific with this. That's just rumors as well. TD comes and downgrades the stock today. I think there's some support. From 48 to 50, I think you got all kinds of support here, but terrible news for CSX.
Yeah, it's a really hard one to figure out here after, just 2 days. I don't know if it was a controversial merger or not, but 48 to 50, that's the range. It looks like
what merger? What do you mean controversial?
When he was coming over, wasn't there?
There was some controversy when he was coming from the company, originally, but then it was popping, and obviously it popped up big time there because he knew he's like a mover and a shaker, and he took the company. Like when this started, when Hunter Harrison came over, when was the date, Spencer? Because when he started coming out, I believe it was early this year when the stock really had that move from like 36 to 50, right?
The exact date that he came on, or that it was announced he was coming on, that's what you're asking.
Yeah. Yeah,
that was.
Do you have the date?
I can give.
I think it was this year. I think it was January.
Yeah, it was what was demanded. I think back in late January.
I can tell you the exact day. It was January 19th.
Yeah, and that's when the company actually reported disappointing earnings, and then it was announced, and the stock was down that morning. It was down. I can remember this because I was trading it. It was like $35, and it was trading down on the disappointing earnings, and then they announced Hunter Harrison coming. And going to shake things up. And he wasn't going to become a CEO then, but he was coming in, to the board to shake things up. And that's when the stock that day just turned around at a dime. And I think it went from like 36 to 46 that day. Now, why do I know that? Because I got run over in a little bit. So you don't forget the trades that get run over in. Next day, it went up to like 49, continued. And, really, it's continued since then. So really, when he took over, it popped like $10. So it's not surprising that the stock would fall $6 or $7. Because he's gone.
I think you shorted it at like 43. And
I was early. Yeah,
you
like, this is a ridiculous pop. Company disappointing earnings. Okay, this guy's coming to shake things up, but here I am fundamentally analyzing a pop and trying to be a hero and and stop a rocket ship. rocket ship didn't run out of gas when I thought it was gonna.
Dennis, well, the question for you. Let's say you're a long-term holder in this, and you had this price action with Mr. Harrison, goes up to 58.35. Now you're back down at 50. I mean, if you're a long-term holder of this stock after this huge appreciation here in 2017, I don't know, with so much uncertainty, wouldn't you kind of be thinking about ringing the register?
Yeah, but it's hard because now you're looking at the stock down 10, 12% from where it was 2 days ago. Everything has been awesome market, especially for transports as well. Even considering, because we could just say, oh, it's all Hunter Harrison, but I mean, CP, which is your, most comparative, because obviously your other big Canadian railroad is up from 155 to 175 this year too. It's been a good year for the rails. So you could probably argue that, even without Hunter Harrison, the stock might be in the $50 range, from where it was before, just because it's been a good year for the transports. So I don't know. And I see all that support down there at 48.50. Maybe there's some people thinking ringing the register just because they're sitting on some gains. They don't know who they're going to get. But at the same time, I look at it as maybe this is a buying opportunity for a company that, he did a lot of good things with, turned around, and they're going to find another CEO, just a matter of whether it's going to be as good as Hunter Harrison.
Yeah, I just don't want to be long this thing when Tesla comes out with driverless trains.
Maybe it'll be CSX working with them. You know what I mean? Or there's a lot. The one thing about rails, that's a good point you're making, though. You think about that, and we have used rails. When was a railroad invented, Spencer? It's got to be like 1700s or something, no? Like early 1800s. Those rails have been around there a long time. That's technology that's never really changed in like 200 years.
Well, the Transcontinental Railroad was finished in like the 1860s.
Did you know that
200 years, basically, we're talking of railroad transportation being your main source of transports for, your products and everything else. It still is. 200 years, there's never been much, shaking up that industry there. So a good point there, Joel. There was some shaking up of that industry if there's other ways. I mean, they can just transport so much stuff, though. You think like a rail, how much stuff, how much cargo they are transporting there. Like, what's the what's the way you shake that up? What's your idea for coming in there and shaking up the railroad industry?
I don't know. I'm just thinking.
We know Musk thinks a lot of things.
Yeah, so who knows what's coming up? All right, what else? We're at 824 here. S&Ps continue to climb. We just made a new high at 93.50, up 10.75 at 92.75. All my Big 10 stocks are in the green here. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, J&J. They're all trading strong here, Dennis. What are our other stocks moving this morning?
Well, Akamai, we haven't talked it yet, AKAM. We have some big movers here this morning. It's up 13%. So, Spencer, give us the details of some news after the bell. Is also an upgrade this morning.
Right. News after the bell on Friday, 6.5% stake from Elliott Management on Friday. This morning, a Credit Suisse upgrade to outperform.
Stock's on fire here this morning. It's up $8 here now. It has been, look at this trend. Just bring up the daily chart there. Look at the last, since September. Look how perfect that trend has been going straight up from 45, Joel. I mean, you could draw a perfect purple crayon there, Jeff Mackey. A perfect one you could draw right on there on the $45 to $56. Now you're getting, boom, this news. This is called upside capitulation, where everybody says, I got to get the hell in this thing. So I'm not chasing the stock when it's up $8 here, but I'm not shorting it either. We'll do the old Nick Shaheen saying, too high to chase, too hot to short.
Boy, filling some gaps. Your after hours high, 66.50, but you've only backed $1 off that level. So I don't know. I mean, you can't get too excited here trying to sell this thing. You did have a high. Let's go back to December here, and you had a pop in this issue, and I believe that was in the 66 handle as well. That was at 66.59. So there's a great level on the upside if you could travel another $1 or so. But the thing about that is if you're getting short there and you're looking to fill the gap, it goes all the way up to 69.58 when it had a real bad day on February 8th. That was probably earnings. So only two levels on the upside. Pre-market high 66.50, and then that gap fill at 69.58. And folks, it's not really backing off that high here, so it may not be done on the upside.
Let's go to the ratings. There are some interesting ones here this morning. First, we're going to Twitter because it's getting an upgrade at JP Morgan this morning. It's your big mover here of the day, at least from ratings land. Stock trade up 4.8%. Monster move here again. We were talking a few days ago on the show that it was starting to look like it had life again. I did play it from the long side a couple times from a day trading perspective. Should have just stuck it in my account and forgot about it because here we are. We're back up the highs here on Twitter. JP Morgan giving it some love. Spencer, is it upgraded to? Do you got the details on this one?
It is upgraded. Nope? Yeah, it is. I don't have the note in front of me, but it is upgraded to outperform. Price target of $20. I'm sorry, that was his prior price target. I misread that.
27, I thought. I saw go by my screen.
27 is the new price target.
Joel, are you in the Twitter? You still?
Yeah, I'm still in it. I'm still in it long term, but I just haven't been able.
Did you buy the stock or you buy calls?
I bought the stock. I bought the stock in a long term.
Where'd you buy it? Where'd you buy?
I bought 18.5.
Oh, nice. But Joel's hot lately.
No.
Bitcoin, Twitter, you had that run in WDC. You got to start publishing that portfolio of yours, Joel, because I tell you, all those stocks you get in there go up.
Yeah, there's a few dogs in there. But anyways, I just couldn't get a hint. The 21.5, I think I talked to this on a Wednesday or Thursday, how you had the bump over 22, right? And then you came back right to that place where the former resistance was at 21.5. And then back up. Now, 23.24 was your high from Thursday. You have exceeded that in the pre-market. You've traded up to 23.40. So, man, a big move, a buck. But, once this thing gets some momentum going, you got to go to some longer-term charts here. And, boy, oh, boy, let's go to the weekly here. We haven't traded 25.25 over a year ago.
That was when it was rumored that Google was going to buy them.
Well, Google and who else? Salesforce.
It was somebody else. It was like a bidding war going. Disney was rumored in there. Google was rumored in there. Somebody else was rumored too. You're right.
Yeah, Salesforce.
And then they all were all out, and then the stock collapsed.
I mean, this is a big move for it overnight. We haven't seen quite a move like this in Twitter overnight in a while. So just keep an eye, 23.50, maybe a psychological level with some paper, but this is one of these charts. Like we were looking at the banks for the longest time. We're like, man, look at like Bank America, look at that base, how high can it go? And then, when Bank America, I'm not comparing Twitter to Bank America at all, but let's just go to
start forming these bases.
Yeah, exactly.
You can really launch from there. That's what it is. It's all about forming a nice base. Even Bank America now, just coincidentally, you're mentioning as an example, it's forming a base here too again. Getting ready to launch here again. I know Josh Brown over the weekend tweeted out a link from somebody that was comparing, now we're going on a tangent here, but he was showing how much the XLF has lagged in comparison to the S&P. And it's
I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet too.
Yeah, in the last 10 years. So it was Ari Wald, who I don't follow, but Ari Wald, who's a CMT, had some analysis there. And I can post the chart if you want in the chat there. It's an interesting chart, and it's just showing you that relative to the S&P, the XLF has underperformed by like a significant amount. So, and we know that. But the one other thing is, this is why I don't like just use technicals. I like to use technicals as one thing, but I also like to use your fundamental knowledge as well. I mean, a big reason why the XLF has underperformed the S&Ps is you had major dilution in a number of banks during the financial crisis. And what does that mean? They issued so much more stock because they were all going under. Government basically bailed out, AIG and Citigroup. And, you had a lot of other companies that were getting bailed out and issuing stock as well. Even, looking to, remember even General Electric back in the day had the Warren Buffett, bail out for their financial unit of Synchrony. So there was all kinds of problems. So when you dilute your stock that much, it's very difficult to come back there. I mean, you can look at, Citigroup now and say, oh, yeah, well, Citigroup's all-time high. And what is it, Joel? Citigroup all-time high, like $500?
It's over. Let me see here. Let me go to
It's the Citigroup all-time high because we had to
591.25.
We had to do the reverse split, too.
Yep.
What is the all-time high?
591.25.
Okay, so let's put this in perspective, because when you're comparing these charts and saying, well, here was the XLF, back in 2007, and significantly down from maybe it's going to go back to those highs. Well, let's start looking at the internals. Let's start looking at the components. For Citigroup to go to 500 and whatever you said $5 a share, the all-time high, the stock's got to go up, basically, 6 times from where it currently is. Its current market cap is 200 billion. So its market cap, if we get back to all-time highs, would be like $1.2 trillion. Citigroup all of a sudden would have to be the most valuable company in the world. That's not happening. So you can strike that from, your whole analysis. Is there's none of me know Citigroup 500 all-time high happening anytime soon, because Citigroup is not going to be the most valuable company in the world. So that's what you got to do when you look at, these companies, and the AIG, you can do the same thing on and say, what's the all-time high on AIG?
Let's go to the all-time high in AIG, 2,058.44.
Okay, so it's $2,000. So it's got to go up. I don't even know how to do the math on that, like 300 times or 30 times where it currently. Yeah, the market cap's going to be in the trillions of dollars too. It's not going back there. They simply got diluted too much. So, too much new stock issued, and they needed to survive. But that's now it's limited what your upside can really be. So I like to look at these sometimes not just on chart perspective. Look at it on a market cap. Look at what the market cap was in 2007 when all the times were good. And look at what the market cap is now. It's probably not that much lower. Like we're not talking, we're down, it was never a $1 trillion company when it was 500 because they issued more stock. And that's why, the stocks come back from where it was from these lows here, but it can't get back up there because there's too much stock out there now. That's my argument there. So that's why technicals is good to use and look at charts, and it tells you a story, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. And, just knowing the background too, it will give you more information as well. So make sure, you just don't see, Citigroup was 574. It could get back to 500. Well, no, probably not, because it would be the most valuable company in the world then. So it's just too much stock out there.
All right, real quick before we go to Kenny Polcari here, Tom Asprey tweeted out over the weekend. He's been a guest on the show. Dow Jones 100-year chart. Okay, and he has some trend lines in here from that 2002 top, and he projected the 100-year long Dow has hit resistance from 1929 and 2000, but he says no warnings yet from my weekly, monthly AD line. So check it out if you want to look at a 100-year perspective on the Dow right there. That was a nice tweet out there from Tom Asprey. Maybe we'll have to get him back on again. All right, Spencer, who we have coming up at 8:34?
Kenny Polcari, Director of New York Stock Exchange floor operations for O'Neill Securities. He's also a frequent CNBC contributor, a longtime equities trader, and we'll be right back with Mr. Polcari. Welcome back, everyone, to Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. I'm Spencer Israel, joined by Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick, and we're on the line with Kenny Polcari, Director of New York Stock Exchange floor operations for O'Neill Securities. He's also CNBC contributor. Kenny, how's it going today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing okay. Yep.
Kenny,
markets are certainly liking what happened late Friday and over the weekend. Certainly in terms of tax policy, it seems like global investors are quite excited about what's going on here in Washington, D.C. and what it means for certainly U.S. policy and U.S. stocks.
How many times can we rally off this tax bill being ratified? I mean, this is like what, 5, 6, 7 times. I also saw over the weekend, John McCain was returning back to Arizona for some for treatment for cancer, but that doesn't seem to bother the market. I mean, is this eventually when they finally pass the thing? Is it going to be the one of the sell the news scenarios?
Well, I do think it is a buy the rumor, sell the news scenario. I don't think the John McCain thing, I mean, listen, he's sick. We all know it. But even without his vote, it still passes because everyone else has jumped from the fence to the yes side of the column. And so therefore, I don't think there's any question now that it'll be passed. It's just a matter of, when. I think the Senate vote is potentially today or tomorrow, and then the House is after that. So it'll be delivered to the president's desk with all the pomp and circumstance that they all talked about, I'm sure, right on Christmas Eve to just make it that much more impactful. But I don't sense at all that it's in any danger of not passing. But I also sense that it will be a buy the rumor, sell the news type of a trade, right? Even though expectations are great going into 2018 and the rest, the fact is the market's had this massive move, and people do need to adjust. And after this passes, they're going to have to figure out, okay, who's really going to benefit here and who isn't. And then I think you see come January the reallocation, and so you'll see some pressure on certain sectors that have way outperformed. And I think it's going to be a move into the value names next year.
And what do you say to pundits to say, okay, this tax policy is going to give a big boost to the economy, the lower corporate tax rate, but it kind of goes against the grain is what gotten here is the monetary easing. Does this limit what the Fed can do from a monetary policy perspective if in fact we really go into a deep recession?
No, I don't think it. I don't think it's going to. Well, two things. I don't think we're going into a deep recession. Do I think that the economy could stall a little bit here as we move into 2018? Yes. Do I think the Fed has other tools in their toolbox? I think they do. They certainly have. They could start to cut rates again. I mean, considering now that they've raised them 4 times in a year, so they could cut them. But there are other policy tools that the Fed could use. But that being said, I think that the tax reform plan is going to add to the bottom line. It is going to create excitement amongst certainly U.S. names that will benefit greatly from the reform. The question is going to be, all these big companies are going to be able to bring money back to this country. Now, the expectation is that they're going to spend it on CapEx, they're going to create jobs, and it's going to really benefit Americans across the board. The question really is that what's going to happen? Are these guys going to bring this money back and use it to buy back stock and to pay down debt and not create jobs, or actually use it to create more efficiency, which you and I both know means just more automation, more electronics, and eliminate jobs as a result? And I think that's really the fear. And until you see what these guys actually do with this money when it comes back, I think that's kind of going to be the wild card to see whether or not they create jobs or, in fact, eliminate more jobs.
Kenny, Dennis Dick here. Just wanted to expand on just something you just said there. You think it's going to be the value names going forward. Why? Why do you think that?
Well, because I think the value names have underperformed. I think this year it was all about the growth names, growth. Listen, you've seen how some of those sectors have just gone absolutely bonkers. Tech at the top of the list, and certainly tech's not going away. But what I think you'll see is in the new year, I think you'll see managers and retail and traders and portfolio managers reallocate, take some money off the table in tech, not certainly liquidate all their positions, but certainly trim them, and then take that money and put them in sectors that have underperformed. And I think a lot of those sectors have been the value names. And I think next year, if there's a sense that the economy is going to stall a little bit, if there's a sense that the market's going to back off a little bit, which I think it is in the first quarter, then you'll see money shift into more quote unquote the big blue chip Americana value names, which should do better kind of in a stalled environment, right? I mean, certainly the big growth names will get hit harder. Because they're more volatile and they've moved so much more than the value names, and people will flock to quote unquote that safety trade, right? And I also think that the value names which have underperformed will certainly, I think their day is coming in 2018, and so therefore, my sense is that you'll see that you'll see money move into those sectors.
Kenny, go ahead, Joel. We're all crossed up here, me and Joel here this morning. It must be Monday morning. But what are your thoughts here just on this market overall? Because the S&Ps, every time we pull back 0.5%, portfolio managers, money managers are scrambling, seems like, to jump back into this market. What is it going to take to get an actual pullback? This is like, and I saw a tweet go by, it was last week, that I think this year we have not had a 3% pullback the entire year, and that's like the first time it's happened since the 90s in the S&P futures. I'm talking, which is incredible.
We haven't at all. Yeah, it is incredible, and we haven't at all. And a lot of it, I think, is because, number one, where else were people still going to put their money? Number two, there was a lot of excitement over this tax reform and the fiscal policy that now is going to be the next thing that Trump announces come the new year. So I think there's been a lot of anticipation of all this good happening. And that's all well and good, because remember, the market's a discounting mechanism. It trades 4 to 6 months out. It's not trading on what's happening today. It's trading already on what's happening or what it expects to happen come March or April of next year. And so they've run this market up ahead of the tax reform. They've run this market up ahead of, for really lack of anywhere else to go, right? The bond market they expect is going to come in, and so money's going to move. But what I think is going to happen come January, once this tax package passes, you are going to see this sell the trade mentality. I think you are going to see the market back off, and I don't think people are going to just run right in if it trades down a percent or two and say, "Oh, here's the bargain." I think people starting in the new year are going to be a little bit more selective. I think the buyers are nearly going to be as aggressive. I think you're going to see there'll be plenty of buyers, but I just think they'll be at lower prices. The same way the sellers now are testing the buyers, they just offer higher, and see how aggressive the buyers want to be. It's really algorithms, right? Let's be serious about who's doing what. It's algorithms and it's artificial intelligence that's really driving the momentum in the market. So the sellers pull back, the buyers just keep reaching. At one point, the tide is going to turn. The sellers are going to get more aggressive, and the buyers are going to bid lower, and then the momentum will just go to the other side. And that's where I think you're going to see. I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, I'd love to see anywhere from a 5 to 8% pullback in the beginning of the year and shake the trees a little bit and see who's really hanging on and who's really not. And then you see kind of where the weakness is. I think anywhere between a 0 and a 9% move is well within the normal trading range. You don't get to a correction until you get to 10%, and I don't think we're getting to 10% unless something so out of left field should happen that is so going to surprise the markets. But I don't see it, other than maybe a geopolitical event with North Korea, maybe. But beyond that, I think the market is okay, but I think it's well ahead of itself, and I think it's going to have to pull back. And I think you're going to see that in the first quarter of 2018.
Contrarian investing surely has not been the way to go in 2017 here. But I just, over the weekend, I see they came out with the decline of the retail store ETF. EMTY. Boy, they think everything. And this came out the first day, traded up to 39.87 here, came down. It looks like we're trying to find a bottom here at the 34.25, 34.50 area. Just to talk a little bit about contrarian investing, the death of brick and mortar, Amazon, just your general thoughts.
Well, listen, I don't think anyone should be surprised. I had not seen that ETF, though, but now I am going to look it up. But I think, listen, I don't think anyone should be surprised. You've seen what's happened to brick and mortar. And it's not that the retail consumer is going away. The retailer is not going away. You can see that in all the online activity that happens. What's going away is more that brick and mortar. And so I'm not surprised to see that ETF come out. I'm not surprised to see that ETF rally. Just because I think as we move down this road, that it becomes so much easier to sit in my kitchen and go shopping and have Amazon deliver it to my house within 24 hours, try it on. If it fits, I keep it. If it doesn't fit, I send it back. I don't ever have to leave my house. I don't have to do anything, which, by the way, I think is all wrong. I think that's going to come back and bite this whole country and really the whole world in the backside, just because you're losing out on normal socialization policies. But that's a whole nother conversation we could have. But one way or the other, I don't think anyone should be surprised at the loss of kind of brick and mortar. I also, listen, the whole contrary investing thing, how many people made the bet against Trump come January of 2017? They thought this was going to be the worst year ever. And meanwhile, they've been contrary. And the market said nothing but shove it right. Well,
okay.
Right
I
down
agree.
their throats, right?
All right. 3 quick things before I let you go. Bitcoin, GBTC. I mean, you've seen a lot of manias, a lot of different things. New asset class into the next market bubble. Pass. You can take a pass too, Kenny. I
think it's currently. Here's the deal, and I got no skin in the game, so I'm not talking my book at all. I think at the moment it's in a mania bubble. I do. But do I think it could be a new asset class? What I think the new asset class really is the blockchain technology. Okay. Bitcoin, I don't necessarily think Bitcoin becomes a new asset class. Bitcoin just becomes, Bitcoin is built off the blockchain technology. And I think the future is in blockchain. And now whether or not Bitcoin represents that, I guess that could be the next question. I don't play in Bitcoin. I don't own Bitcoin. To me, it feels all like the mania. Quite honestly, I was here in the dot-com bubble of 99 into 2000, and I saw it. And even then, when that was happening, I would scratch my head when these investment banks would bring pets.com to the market and tell everyone it was worth $12, and it would come listed at NASDAQ, and on its opening trade, it would open at $150, trade up to $350, down to $225, and close at $275, and you'd scratch your head saying, what did I just miss in this? When Morgan Stanley told us it was worth $12, people are willing to pay $275 on day one. It's mania, and we all know what happened in the end with all those dot-com stocks. And so my sense is that I do, and I'm not wishing it, but I do think that the Bitcoin mania is well overdone, way overdone.
Recipe of the day, or are you thinking of something new for Christmas, or are you just going back to some old ones?
Listen, I featured in an Italian household on Christmas Eve. We do the Feast of the Seven Fishes, which is nothing but fish on Christmas Eve, right? It's an Italian tradition that goes back centuries. But one way or the other, in my daily note for the last week and a half, I featured each one of those recipes. So I finished the fish recipes on Friday, the 7th recipe. You can go back and find it. Today I started on dessert. So today I gave you the butternut clusters that we also make on Christmas Eve. It's just one of the desserts that sits on the table after we do dinner. But you can find any one of the 7 fish recipes that I cook in my house, on my website or in my morning note. Do
you know what Jewish people eat on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day?
Yeah, Chinese food.
You got it, Chinese food. All right.
But I got to tell you. We have a couple of Jewish friends of ours who, were so amazed with what we would do on Christmas Eve that they end up coming. We invite them over. They come to our house. They love the whole night. They're just amazed because I cooked the 7 individual fish dishes, and there's probably 55 people at my house on Christmas Eve. It's really the greatest night of the year.
Can you name the 7 real quick for us?
Can I what?
Name the 7 fish.
Yeah, there's lobster sauce, linguine and lobster sauce. There's linguine and clam sauce. There's stuffed calamari. There's filet of sole. There's salmon. There's bay scallops and a black truffle cream sauce. Was that 7, or did I miss one yet?
That was 6.
How many did you count?
Spencer said 6.
And then that was 6. Okay, and so the last one's mussels.
Okay, excellent. All right, we're going to dial you up in January or February because we're going to do a whole week of people from the floor, and we definitely want you to be included. That. Thanks a lot, Kenny. We kept you a little bit over time. I wish I was in your area for Christmas Eve, but enjoy. We'll talk to you in 2018.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. I'm hungry, Dennis. I think you're going to have to finish.
How do we get an invite to that?
I'm gonna go get a fish omelet or something in the cafeteria here. But anyways, 8:49, Dennis. We skipped over imbalances, and there's no selling balances because people don't have
people don't sell anymore.
They don't sell anymore. They just buy more.
Especially coming into the Santa Claus season. I heard Santa Claus coming to town, and everybody else did too. That's why we're up this one. Okay, 267,000 to buy in Bank America. Alibaba, 198,000 to buy. It's a huge buy and balance for Alibaba. $175 stock, biggest one I've seen for a while. Twitter, 232,000 to buy as well. And like when you put these in perspective, that Baba and balance so big, it's $170 stock with 198,000 shares to buy. Twitter is only a $23 stock, and even though the buy and balance is bigger, 232,000, which is a big buy and balance for Twitter. It just shows how impressive that Alibaba, from a dollar's perspective, is to have a buy and balance that big. So that's big. Square's got a buy and balance again. Square's just been the kind of stock that just has been lagging, though. Didn't have a great day on Friday again either, but it's up here. I don't know what's wrong with Square, but I think eventually Square is going to start to show some life here too. That buy and balance has been pesky. It continues to be there despite the stock price going down. I guess you could argue, you kind of did put a double bottom the last couple of days. 35.90 was the low 2 weeks ago. 35.80 was the low on Thursday. We didn't come close to it on Friday. Friday was just a crazy day in itself. Needs to get back up. When it gets back above 40, that would be back in breakout mode. 37.5. It's interesting here. I'll say that. It's a Square.
It gives you an out. It gives you an out. I mean, if you're trying,
it does.
Yeah,
35.
yeah.
You know what? I couldn't argue with you. If you're coming here now, valuation, you can't look at it. You can't look at any of this stuff fundamentally. But from a technical perspective, here, just trading technicals. It gives you an out. If it cuts below 35.80, you say, okay. So if you come in here this morning and say, I'm going to buy it at 37.20 or $37, if it pulls back this morning, I don't know if it's gonna or not, you risk yourself $1.50. and you're looking for that thing to get up over 40 and get, kickstarted here towards the end of the year and hopefully a little square mania going again. If it cuts below 35.80, you say, okay, I was wrong. So throw your 3-to-1 risk reward on there. If you're going to risk $1.50, I'd like to make at least 3. So that would push you up. If you bought at 37, you could push up and say, I wanted to test that 40 again. So there's some trades in here in Square.
All right. Iceman in the chat is talking about CORI. I don't see any news on this one. I don't even know if I've ever heard of this symbol before. All I could say, no news since February 17th. I just took a quick glance at this one, and it's just been in a trading range from 10.25 to 12.32. If you tighten it up and you go to a weekly here, that 12.25, I mean, it's just got over 12 a few times. So to me, that would make a breakout. 10.99 was the close, and nice trading range, support at the $10 area. Also, lithium stocks are making a move. And who was that? Was that Chris Temple we had on a few weeks ago that he was talking about some lower price lithium stocks? Or was that uranium? Maybe it was uranium. But
it was uranium he was talking.
All right. What is the news? This is an ADR. What
SQM you're going to talk.
Yeah. What kind of news we have on that this morning?
I actually don't know what the news is. I see it's up, but I don't actually know what the news is. I've been.
Well, that's over in, but there's those elections over there, right? Isn't Chile? Didn't there so many elections or something that went on over the weekend? I wonder if that's it, because this isn't Chile.
Maybe.
I think so. I don't follow the company at all, but I know I saw something go by. There was some elections or something. Anyways, this thing's up $8 this morning, so there's obviously news on it. It's trading up, substantially. It's an ADR here, so it's already trading actively in Chile, however you say it, up 14%. I think that's where it's running from. Is something to do with those elections.
All right, S&P's 92.25, $1.25 off the high of the session here. Did we get through all of our upgrades, downgrades?
There's actually quite a few here.
Goldman did some stuff, right?
What's that?
Goldman Sachs.
What do they do?
Let's see here. Goldman upgraded Phillips 66 PSXP from a neutral to a buy.
Yeah, then don't forget to get confused there, because there's 2 listings there. So Phillips 66 Partners, and then there's Phillips 66, which is PSX, the refiner. 2 separate companies. PSXP is the one they're upgrading.
Yes.
And that's trading up here. Let's go, though. So, Goldman did a little bit of stuff in the refiners. They're not widely traded. I mean, this thing hasn't even just traded 200 shares here this morning. There's some big ones here this morning, Joel. Let's go over to AMD. It's catching an upgrade here at Macquarie. It's a stock that has just been lagging very badly, but we've been talking about it forming a base here on the show last 3 or 4 days. We've mentioned a couple times on AMD how it's starting to form a little bit of a base. I am long AMD in my investment portfolio. I wish I wasn't from higher prices, but that being said, it's starting to show some life here from a trading perspective. I think there's room to 11 here.
Stalling out just a little bit. I won't call it stalling. Your pre-market high is 10.55. All those highs at the 10.20 level hit 10.32 on Friday. So if you like this, I'd rather maybe get a quick seller off the open, pound it down to 10.30, 10.29 close, fill the gap, and then you really know you're out here at 9.88. That is your 4-day low. So, maybe risking 50, 60 cents here. I mean, you want to look beyond 11, obviously. But this thing's been under pressure. It's had a few pops, but this has formed a long-term base at the $10 area.
As far as some other ratings that just going through the list right now, Capital One caught an upgrade from Piper Jaffray. And Bank America. And Bank America,
too. Double upgrade.
Yeah, Bank America also upgraded to Discover Financial DFS. Sunoco catching an upgrade at Goldman Sachs. We mentioned the JP Morgan upgrade of Twitter. And the biggest one I saw outside of those, ALXN upgrade at Baird. VMware upgrade at KeyBank. And Costco upgrade at BMO Capital. Those are the biggest upgrades that I saw. And then no real downgrades to speak of today.
I'll tell you on COF, $100. So this is why I like having the buck, and I like to be able to go to the buck. There's 192,000 shares for sale at $100 on COF. That is a brick wall. So here you are, you're upgrade, double upgrade trick here. It's bid at 97.52. The offer's way up, right now, up in the upper 99s. I got to think, if for whatever reason they really get silly on this, gets double upgraded, gets anywhere near that 100, I think it's a brick wall. So I might be playing it from the short side. I'll probably try to play from the short side if it gets up into the upper 99s. Just lean on that $100. If it takes out 100, you know where your out is. You got to, and those sometimes if it goes quick, you got to be quick. Don't miss, when you miss the 100, it could be at $100.50 on you in a hurry. But as of right now, that $100 is huge. When you see a 190,000 share order on a $100 stock, big order, a lot of money to take that out.
And not trading up much in the pre-market. I see the last
bid up a buck.
It bid up a buck.
97. It's bid up a buck at 20, and the best house in the upper 99. So it could open up in the 98, 99 area. And if it does, maybe there's a shot to short it up there in the upper 99s. That's what I'm saying. I like it from the short side in the upper 99s, just because there's so much size, so much stock at $100. I don't know if it gets that high, but if it does, I'm playing it from the short side.
What about trying to buy it at yesterday's high, 97.31? Maybe, it closed a buck off that level. Maybe
a pullback? Yeah, maybe.
No, I mean off the open. See if you can get it.
Or, I don't know if I think you're going to see this thing open high. It's double upgraded. So I think you're going to probably see it open higher than that. My opinion, I think this thing opens I think it opens at least at $98, to be honest.
Okay. All right.
This is what I do. I mean, I've been an open trader for 15 years. I project the opens. I try to trade stuff around the opening prices. I feel like you can write that down right now. I think your opening tick's going to be $98 on this. So we'll see how I do. Let's see if I can call the open right on the kisser.
Okay.
In a decimal lane world, that'd be impressive. But I think the COF could open at 98 right on the kisser.
I bet you it doesn't open in 98. I'll bet you the two stake dinners.
Well, what are you gonna? You got to give me a lot of it. I'm calling it right on the penny. I'm calling it right to the thing. You got to give me like 101 off. Look at all the decimal points could open at 97, 97.10, 97.20. I'm calling like these whole numbers come into play. I think it opens at 98 on the kisser. I'm calling the open on the show, guys.
Okay, we need to know the close though. That if the open's good
below 100.
There's your range. All right, just a minute left here before Spencer wraps things up. Tells about our show tomorrow. 92.25 up 10.25, 93.50 the high. If you think we can't go any higher, the average 9-day average range is 20 handles. So that would take us to 2702.50 on a
Joel's talking the S&P futures.
S&P futures.
20 because I have SPY quotes and that's all meaningless to me because I don't pay for my S&P futures quotes.
All right, just take 270 in the
SPY. Give me the SPY.
270. 270. That's what you got to look at because that equates
I don't know
to
270 what you're talking about. Give me the SPY numbers.
27.0.
Oh, 270, $270.
Yes.
We're at 268. You're going up to 270 today?
Yes.
Holy cow, Joel's bullish.
That's
another 20 handles on the S&P. Joel's bullish. He got his bull hat on.
Well, they already
got your Santa Claus hat on already. You called that Christmas rally today.
Well, it's only if you had your futures on, you would realize that it's only halfway there right now because we're up 10. We're up 10.
Well, I have my SPY hat on. We're up $1.50, so I realize we're still halfway there.
That dividend on Friday too on the triple witch, that kind of
it does mess you up on the dividends.
Yeah, it did. So okay, 859.24. Spencer, give us a look for tomorrow.
All right, tomorrow's show once again is our cryptocurrency. Our Bitcoin special is going to be on from 8 a.m. normal time. It's going to go until somewhere around 9:30 when we're planning on wrapping it up. I'm putting the link once more. If you want to register for the webinar, all that does is it'll remind you today, and it'll remind you tomorrow morning when the show starts, or you can just tune into the pre-market prep page where the show is every day to catch that. But big slate of guests on the docket, 7 people joining the show at various times. Very, very exciting. We're going to go through first. We'll discuss the fundamentals, get that out of the way, the basics of Bitcoin cryptos. We'll get that out of the way at the beginning, and then we'll go into the big market structure and large potential regulation questions that loom over the entire industry, really the entire asset. And we'll talk trading and arbitrage opportunities between DBTC and the futures and Bitcoin and cash, and take all your questions. We'll have a lot of insight. So very, very excited for that again tomorrow morning at the usual time. But if you want to catch any part of today's show again, you can do that on our podcast, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Thank you to Kenny Polcari for joining us today. Thanks to all of you who listened on the YouTube and who came into our chat at premarket.benzinga.com. Hope you all have a good rest of your day. We hope you join us again tomorrow for our special Bitcoin show. Have a good one.